We're waiting.
Angels, guides, Reiki guides and masters, throw us a bone, lend us a hand. Hello.
Hello. And welcome to In My Experience podcast. I'm Piperlyne.
And I'm Sonya Lee. And what are we talking about today? Oh, yes, that's right.
The challenge of change.
Dun, dun, dun.
Good times, always good times, right?
How's this Pluto retrograde in Capricorn treating everybody?
Right? This started, did it just start today?
No, the 27th of April.
Oh, that's right, 27th of April.
But we didn't notice because we were still dealing with the bitch fest that was that Scorpio full moon that happened a day before Pluto snuck back into retrograde.
Yeah, that Scorpio full moon, that was
Awful.
That was grand. That was
Grand. That's a word. Great. Grand. Swell. Makes me think of that.
It was the cat's pajamas.
What was that guy's name? I can't think of it.
I
The
don't
actor.
know.
That Tommy Boy. What the hell was his name?
Oh,
Chris
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. Yes. Remember? He's the bus driver. And he'd be like, great, grand, swell.
Oh, when I was growing up, my dad would do that. He would make up words instead of swearing. So he'd just speak gibberish.
Oh, like the father from A Christmas Story.
Yes. Yes. And what's so funny is he used to say the word, I can't think. I'm going to say awesome, but it wasn't awesome because it was back in the day. But a similar word, right? And he said it very sarcastically. He's like, oh, awesome. Right? So, and he did it so often that I was taking a state test, right? In school, they have the state test, doing the vocabulary, and it asked for the definition of awesome. And I was really stuck. Because once again, it wasn't awesome, but whatever.
Right.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he'd be like, fantastic. and so it had the definition of fantastic, and I know what fantastic means, but I'd heard him say that as basically his F swear word.
Right.
For so long,
It's
I remember.
like, shut the front door. Shut the fantastic.
I sat there going, so is it a good word like we use it, or is it a bad word like he uses it?
I find that interesting,
yeah.
too, that you understood the irony in his
Yes.
words.
Well, he only used it during those certain times.
Where you're like, he's saying fantastic, but his body language is saying something completely different.
And so is his tone. So anyway, so that was grand. Back to it was great.
It was great.
So anyway, as Sonya said, we are starting once again into Capricorn. No, Pluto in Capricorn. We're going retrograde. We also have had Jupiter move into Pisces.
Yes.
Which just like
today.
yes. So, and Jupiter is expansion and growth, and being in Pisces is a positive thing. It has a positive way of expressing himself or herself. Sorry, Jupiter, I don't know your gender. Itself.
And don't forget, though, Neptune is there, too. So, who knows what's expanding?
Right, absolutely. The expansion is just expansion. It's a neutral term. It's not necessarily a good term.
Right.
It's a neutral thing.
And Neptune is all about, the illusion of what is.
Maya, as we call it in yoga philosophy. It's Maya. Yeah, the illusion. The idea that this life is just a dream.
Oh, okay.
It's Maya. So, it could be the type of thing of when you wake up and wait, what, where, who, what timeline?
Oh, the timeline, streamline, jumping, flipping channel.
Alternate realities.
I don't know what that is.
Parallel universes.
I don't even know where I'm at right now.
Right. Right, so there's a sense, you may not feel it at the same level, Sonya and I, or you may think we're crazy that we're talking about that, but what it can absolutely bring a sense of what am I doing? What just
That's what it's supposed to be doing.
happened? Well, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so there's all sorts of levels. It also can raise your connection, raise your consciousness, raise your spiritual experiences. I talked with one of my clients. She's like, I'm having some crazy ass dreams. I'm like, oh yeah, well you got a sun in Pisces, so this shit is what's going down. She's like, oh.
It's always interesting to me, though, when our Pisces brothers and sisters don't know.
I know. I have an error. I make the error of assuming that they do.
I think we're here to educate our Pisces brethren. And everybody else can just follow along if they like.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, the challenge of change is
Right,
ever prevalent in
Pluto,
the present.
Yes, Pluto
experience.
back to Capricorn.
Yep.
The challenge of change.
And, not that Pluto left Capricorn, it's just because it's the only one. Like, when you have a party and it's great, but then it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and you've still got that one person that won't leave. That's
and
Pluto.
You get more and more tired and frustrated with them.
You start slamming things.
Right.
Stretching.
I need to go to bed.
Turning all the lights off as you walk out of a room, leaving them in darkness.
And they're still sitting their ass there. They're like, oh yeah, I'm not done
This
yet.
is a great party. I've so enjoyed being here. And you're like, great. I'll talk to you soon. And then they're like, yeah, speaking of that. And you're like, oh, for God's sakes, get out of my house.
But even if you say, get out of my house, it's still, I mean, we're talking Pluto and Capricorn, so it doesn't care.
They're like Kramer.
They're like, whatever.
You ever see that Seinfeld episode?
Oh, well,
where
did Kramer do that all the time?
Well, yeah, but this one I was thinking of is he went to a party out in like the Hamptons or something, and he didn't have a ride home. And so
he just stayed.
He just had to sit there wait until somebody finally picked him up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And the wife was like angry, I'm going to bed, and it was just a terrible thing. And I that's how I feel about Pluto right now.
Right.
On my moon, on my ass. I'm tired of it. Since 2008.
Yes.
And that's been for all of us.
Right. The 2020 that was.
Oh, yeah.
That was all, not just Pluto and Capricorn, that was Saturn and Capricorn.
Right. We had the whole COVID clump that we, talked about, that other astrologers talk about. And, but Pluto really was like, the ringer. Because
Pluto's the linchpin.
it was the dark horse. Right, the linchpin, that's a good one too. Because all those other planets were just kind of going through.
They're like, la, 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 la.
Yeah. And see, Saturn thought he was in charge, because he usually is. But in that moment, March of 2020, Pluto and Neptune got together and said, yeah, I don't like that Saturn. I don't like him either, because he says I'm all flighty.
Let's do something different.
Let's show Saturn who's boss at a global level. And,
Here we are.
So with this, I don't know, I think I've heard it's, the last retrograde. It might just be the last retrograde of this year. Because I don't believe it's the last retrograde in Pluto. Because we've still got Pluto until, 2024?
No, it's out.
So it's going to be direct?
It's out 2023. It goes direct.
Yes.
It goes direct at 24 degrees in October.
Yes.
And so then it only has another 6 degrees of Capricorn.
I love how she says that. With a serious face. Pluto only has another 6 degrees to go before it leaves Capricorn. For the rest of our lives, people. That's the only thing I can say to you at this point, is it will never darken our Capricorn again.
Right.
240-something, 50 years from now, when
we're not at the place where we're living that long.
No.
In this carnation, in this body.
So, kudos to you for choosing now.
Woo, woo.
To, remember when we always talk about strong asses, not weak asses? There you go. Pluto said, you can deal with it. I was saying Pluto, but I realized that Pluto thinks that's a compliment, so I've stopped.
It's true. Yes. Like, you call me bitch like it's a bad thing.
Right.
So Pluto says, You say fuck, like fuck me, like it's a bad thing.
And I say, fuck yeah!
It's like, yeah, bring it on!
Right?
Oh, so anyway.
We're just, I know, like, can you tell we're spinning? Anyway.
Yeah, with all that stuff, with astrology, it brought us to a point of really visiting the challenge of change and how it occurs. Now, of course, we know that change is hard. Us humans, a lot of us, for the most part, like consistency, like things we can rely on, things we can plan around, things we can depend on. And choosing to make change can be hard.
Right.
And there's practices that, and however we choose to do that in whatever area, then change that is forced on us 2020 change that is forced on us 2020, which
did you
also,
choke on that a little?
yeah, is also has its challenges. But the whole reason why we brought this up is because we've both been experiencing that this week with changes that either have been brought to us, right, that were the things that we didn't choose necessarily, or changes that we did choose.
And then thought, ooh, I didn't expect that
And hello,
outcome.
where'd that go?
How did that happen?
So I call it the kickback.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the term that I've been using.
Or the blowback. Yeah.
That works. Or what's it when you shoot a rifle?
Yeah.
Is that a kickback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Knocks
it.
you on
That's
your
the
ass.
kick. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So what does it mean to you? How do you handle it? What do you do with it? I mean, sometimes when those things happen, we can think, oh God, I didn't really want that change.
Right.
Or I made a mistake.
Right.
I need to go back.
Right.
And so does it really mean that?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Right.
Where I've been like, oh, wait a minute. I know I said that was what I wanted, but I don't want that. I changed my mind. Never mind. And, it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. That
And it
being
can
said, I don't know that Pluto cares much about prerogatives.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well.
And that's the thing in this situation with Pluto driving the larger bus. And this whole process has been about change.
Pluto is the bus driver is Chris Farley, by the way. I don't know. You just said that and I totally like, oh my God, that's what Pluto
That
looks
is
like.
Funny. That is. I was envisioning the bus that Harry takes in one of the Harry Potter movies that is just racing out of control and he's just hanging on and it makes itself thinner,
Oh, yeah.
going through buildings
Yes.
and then taller to go through cars and you're like,
Right. And then I was thinking about the bus driver from South Park.
like so take your choice. What bus works for you? What bus expresses your experience?
Or it could be like, what was that one? Speed with Keanu
Oh,
Reeves.
yes.
Don't-
Keanu
Can't
and
go below
Sandra Bullock.
50 miles an hour.
Yes, so you have to drive and drive and drive and drive and drive and drive and drive.
That's what that feels like for me. I've been driving and I can't take my foot off the gas pedal and I got a cramp and I got to pee.
That sucks.
Sorry, I just lost my mind there for a minute.
I don't know, I had visions going through my head. It wasn't fun. So the kickback of change.
Yes, it can make you a little loopy.
Yes.
And there's no really avoiding it or getting out of it because usually we say the big outer planets move so slowly and they take such a long time that it's almost like, like we talk about turning the luxury liner, right? Like you're going to get up in the morning.
24-point turn.
Like you're going to wake up in the morning looking at the coastline on one side, and then by the evening you're going to see that it's now on the other side of the boat. Versus like a Mercury or a Mars or a Venus, right? Sometimes, and even the moon. Sometimes the moon moves so fast that you don't even really notice that change. So those are sort of like the outer extremes, and then somewhere in the middle, they're the ones we pay the most attention to. But in this particular alignment that we've had for the last couple of years, they're almost like feeding off of each other. So there's no ignoring. You know, like I can honestly say in all the years that I've been studying astrology, I didn't really give a whole lot of thought to Neptune or Pluto or Uranus
Right.
like I have in the last 4 or 5 years.
Right. Well, there's a lot of conversation back and forth about how much it actually means, like in your natal chart.
Yeah.
I
Evolutionary astrology, absolutely.
Right, right. So if you look at like my personal natal chart, I have Moon conjunct Pluto and Uranus, so and oppose my Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So their energy is integrated to the most intimate, like my complete personality, because they also sextile my ascendant. So I live with that energy, which is why I've said, you know, in other situations I could have been like psychotic
Oh, yeah, like Attila the Hun.
or
Probably.
or sociopath. Well, I believe
I would
it
like to
was.
pull Attila the Hun's chart and see how similar it is. I might do that. Some of the worst atrocities, you know, I'm not making light of any of this. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
This feels familiar.
Yes. So, you know, and then for other people, those 3 planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, may not have much impact or connection in their
Right.
natal chart.
Right.
But the impact, and it's so interesting, we talked about this, I think, a long time ago, and one of our podcasts, or at least touched on it, on how those planets that are further out, how they affect global.
I was going to say, these are generational
Right, or humanity.
things, though. Aspects, transits, what have you.
Right, everyone had the COVID
Right.
clump.
Like, think
in
about all the
2020.
kids that were born in 2020 with
That
that
have that
alignment
in
in
their
their natal chart.
Right. Hello.
You going to be some bad mamma jamma.
Hello.
I,
That's some intense stuff there.
yeah, go up against that. Why don't you?
Well, you know, it's our generation, or people around our age specifically, that have Uranus and Pluto conjunct in their
In
chart.
Virgo.
In Virgo, which may affect them personally, which it does for both Sonia and I,
Yep.
or may not, but they experience it generationally.
Right.
and-
We all have that common theme.
Right.
If we were born in that period of time, so there's no escaping it.
Right.
Especially in Virgo, there is no escaping
It
Virgo.
It is part of the fabric of our lives.
Uh-huh.
That felt like a commercial from
Yeah.
somewhere
I don't know.
back
It
in the
did
day.
sound-
Doesn't it sound
yeah,
like fabric
cotton,
of our
I think.
lives? Cotton, yes! Yes, cotton.
Which
the
is breathable.
fabric of our lives. Thank you. Thank you. I will be paid by them. Sponsorship.
Yes.
Cotton is going to be sending me some money now.
But you know, that's the interesting thing too, because we have been in this earth energy for the last 18 months or so. And then we had like all earth last year, right, with all of that too.
Right.
And then now we're moving into air, and pretty quickly we're going to be moving into all air.
Right.
And so that's really going to change things for us as well.
Right.
And I think that that's part and parcel of this challenge of change.
Right.
Because like it or lump it, you know, our earthly bodies like the earthly things.
Well, that's how we're built.
Right. And now we're moving into, you know, air and having a little glimpse of that with the Aquarius stellium. And then getting this sort of last, you know, nostalgic look with the Taurian stellium, and then we're getting ready to move towards the Gemini stellium here in the
Right.
summer. Spin the wheel. Everybody gets a prize. I don't know what else to say.
So I do want to throw in there real quick for anyone who is listening, because we're talking a lot about astrology today, that if you're interested in astrology and you want to know more, we're having a very casual outline informational thing in our In My Experience community on Facebook that you are welcome to join, where we'll be talking about this further. and teaching you how to look at the bigger things that are happening in the world, like what we're talking about,
Great.
and bring them into your chart.
Yeah, because you're not being punked by the universe. Well, you are, but we all are.
Everyone is.
Ashton Kutcher is busier than a one-armed paper hanger, punking us all.
The astrological version of Ashton Kutcher, yes.
Yes. So, the challenge of change. What does that look like for me this week? Well, I don't know if I mentioned last week or not that my son moved out. And so now I am, childless in my home after 38 years, 37
Which is
years.
Huge for anyone who's experienced it can agree with that.
Right. And, I kept it real. I did my thing. I had a life outside of my children. I knew. Mm-hmm. I see the empty nest syndrome. I know what that's about. I want to know part of it. Mm-hmm. I worked hard to keep my identity through all that.
Right.
And I discover I have no identity now.
And what the fuck? Well, and I think that's part of our culture, part of our personal build, number one,
right.
But also part of our culture. And empty nestering, people make huge changes after their youngest child leaves the house.
Right.
They sell their stuff, they move, they change their relationship, they change their careers,
right.
Everything. And so even when you know it's coming,
yep,
you're still like, oh, that's what I signed up for.
Yeah. I don't want that.
Yeah.
What we were saying before. I changed my mind. I thought I wanted that, but I don't want that. But you can't change your mind on something. Some things are finite. That's not to say that, this child of mine might move back home. I know that's a fear of a lot of parents.
Right. And it's been a reality for a lot.
And my rule has always been stay as long as you need, because once you go out, you can't come back.
Yeah.
So I've had to rethink that.
Right.
Because, does that, and as we grow and we shift and we change and we evolve, we find that we are much more dynamic than we are static, although static seems to make more sense.
Yeah.
And therein lies the rub.
Yeah.
Because, right, we say if you're not growing, you're dying. But sometimes growth is, just kill me.
Right.
I don't want to grow like this. I don't want to grow through this.
Right.
And that, being smacked upside the head with that reality is a bit startling at times, no matter where you are.
Right.
Right? But especially when you think that you've, done your work and you've passed certain tests and levels and things, and then the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I've got the dunce hat back on again, and I'm in the garter, because apparently I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. But I digress.
Keeping it real.
Well, yeah. And again, part of this experience is so that I can share that. And maybe it brings comfort to someone. If my discomfort brings comfort, well then, it was worth something after all. And recognizing that, that I have to look in the face of the hypocrisy of my belief that the only constant is change.
Yeah.
And also to not take life and myself in it too terribly seriously.
Right.
So, lots to play with there, lots to unpack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be busy unpacking these boxes for a while. I can laugh today. I was crying a couple of days ago. And
that's movement.
And that's movement. And life goes on. and not to be too terribly flippant about it. But sometimes it's like, I got to laugh or I'm going to cry.
Right.
And so you have to allow yourself to sort of come up for air every once in a while. Because, especially like us Pisces, we're such deep divers. We could crash and burn in the, like those Jonathan Livingston Seagull, right? And I also believe that, I like to experience these things first so that then I can be of comfort and support to those around me. And so I recognize that I signed up willingly, voluntarily for that as well.
Right.
And then somewhere in all of that, there is also this little piece of acceptance, because the uncomfortable does eventually become more comfortable.
Right.
True. You rip the Band-Aid off and you go, ah! And then after a couple of minutes of you rubbing your arm where there's no hair anymore, it doesn't hurt so bad.
Just don't hold it.
Yeah.
Hold the owie until it eases off.
Remember when they used to like spray that Bactin or whatever it was, and he'd be like, "Oh, this will help," and they sprayed it, it burned like a mofo.
What about that colored stuff?
Mercurochrome.
We're going back now. Like, it's like yellowish
Paint you
brown.
orange, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
That was
weird.
probably like mercury or something. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to Google that afterwards and find out. I might have like an asbestos claim against that or something.
Welcome to the childhood of Gen Xers.
Put that stuff on everything. I broke my arm and then it covered me. In fact, they took me to the doctor. The doctor's like, "What is this orange stuff all over her arm?" And my girlfriend thought it would help my owie.
Yep.
No, it's a green stick fracture, sorry.
That's really not going to do anything.
No, and that's another great point, right? When you are challenged by these changes, you do want to try to like put the mercurochrome on it. When you need to go get an x-ray and have your arm reset. Okay?
But that's okay. I'm just going to rub some cream into it.
And then just keep going.
Yes.
It's a flesh wound.
So, and that is the thing. So that happens with changes that we don't want, that weren't planned, that happen to us because of the larger society or things that are
universal, out of our control. Mm-hmm.
But then there's also that thing when we do it to ourselves. When we do it to ourselves. I mean, I can't count how many times, and this is my experience this week, where I have been making changes. I've been focusing my meditation on a specific way. I've been practicing some mantra practices. I have been sending intentions because I get that a lot of things going on in my life personally currently are based in internal things, and these are things that I want to change.
Well, aren't they all really?
Well, this is true.
But anyway,
this is true. I agree. But that is where my focus has been.
Right.
Is
I'm going to
changing
look
the
within
internal.
now.
Right. I tried all that shit out there, and I'm exhausted, and it doesn't work.
Right.
So let's go here.
It's like, fine, I'll look at myself.
And the thing is, I always do, and I thought I was.
Right.
And I was.
And you were.
And I needed to do it differently and needed to do it more. And
which again is, Pluto retrograde, right?
Right.
This is like, okay, you've been doing this back and forth. Now we want you to look at it again. Like, how many times can you take your paper up to the desk and have the teacher go, "Nope, you need to go back and do that over."
That's still not the right answer. And then finally, the second to last time you take it up, you hand it to the teacher. Teacher's like, "I need to see your work."
Right.
So then you need to sit your ass down, even though you have the right answer, and do the work so someone else can follow it. That was my
I never
Achilles
understood that.
heel. I'm like, I have the right answer. I need you to show me the work. I'm like, fuck.
Right.
I just do it in my head.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, that's where I was.
Look, you all have been there. We know this.
So I have to show someone my work, I guess, at this point. Is where
We're watching.
At least I hope I am.
We're watching.
I hope that's where I am. So then that occurs. I'm feeling great. I'm seeing changes, right? Calm, centered, all of these peaceful, beautiful things that I want. And then a couple of things happen, and I am just like, what the hell? Am I failing at this? Am I, what did I do wrong? Why am I all of a sudden these fears coming up? Because man, put Pluto into retrograde in Capricorn, and all of a sudden all of my
structures,
earth-based fears, right, of material things,
aka structures.
Yes.
I can't believe I said that. And she's like, fears. And I'm like, well, that still feels right, though.
Are coming now to play.
Like, you live in a house of cards.
And so I'm like,
so do I.
So now what do I do? I mean, I will say that the plus thing for me is that if I continue to do what I have been doing,
yes,
I am finding still a sense of calmer in the kickback of change that I'm looking at. I am feeling less off center.
Right.
But it's still there.
Right.
And it still causes me to question. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. You make a change, it's something bad. You make a change, something you want, something bad happens, you're like, fuck, did I make a mistake?
Right. That insecurity and indecisiveness of a very clear decision that was made.
Right.
Unravels because your brain decides to go into overdrive, and now we want to do risk analysis.
And obviously that was wrong. It was too risky, and you need to go back because look at how you feel. Look at what's happening.
So, like, we all grew up and have seen on many, many programs, right, examples of where, like, there's an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other.
Right.
They don't do that as much, I notice, in TV
Not as
today
much. I don't
as they
think so,
did.
yeah.
Right. But I imagine, like, this Pluto in Capricorn retrograde, actually just Pluto in Capricorn, but especially retrograde, Pluto in Capricorn is that angel and that devil in one. It's like a Tiffany Taylor doll. You turn its hair and it changes color. But
and once again, we're showing our age. I had
right.
one of those.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And the retrograde is that angel and that devil not popping up on your shoulder until about a month after you've done whatever it is that you've done.
Right.
And then going, should you really do that? And you're like, what do you mean? I did that a month ago. Where were you? Well, you know, we were kind of busy. But now that we're looking at it, we're thinking maybe that wasn't the best. In fact, we've talked about it, and we're in agreement on this one. It's bad and it's no good.
Step back.
And you're just like, well, it's a little late now. I've signed contracts. And what do you do with that? Right?
Right. I mean, I think that in some cases that there's validity to it. Sometimes we make choices or changes with the best intentions, the best thought. We saw it, to the best of our ability, and then something kicks back, and you're like, oh yeah, that didn't work.
Okay, so like I sell real estate, right? And this has been like the craziest, hottest market since the early 2000s. And people are selling their homes because there's just stupid monopoly money on the table.
Right.
And then now they're finding themselves with nowhere to go. And
because everything has gone up.
Because everything has gone up.
Right.
So you got a lot of money, and now you're going to spend that lot of money.
Or more.
To buy something that's not as good as what you had.
Right.
And that's like the theme of 2020, right? Like all of 2020 was to give you that opportunity to rethink yourself and to maybe make some new decisions. And then 2021 is the question of, did you do that right? Was that a good choice? Are you sure? Oh, wait. You only talked about it. You didn't actually make the change yet. So what are you waiting for? Because, time is wasting. Tick tock, tick tock. And that's the other piece of that. People that are like selling, and then now they're seeing their home's been turned around and sold, and there's an extra $50,000 that, or an extra $100,000, or an extra $500,000, and they're going, oh, but if I just held on for 3 more months, I could have made this much more money. And it's just all of this sort of like, look at yourself and your choices and your changes. Is that really what you thought? Is it really what you wanted? Is it what you've said you've always wanted? And
Right.
now the opportunity is here and you're like, like I always wanted to date so-and-so. And then the minute you date them, you're like, good Lord, what was I thinking? How do I get out of this?
Oh, no, I don't want that.
First thing is to get back that Valentine's card that said, you are my sun and my moon. Because that is not true, right? And it just, I mean, and you just want to just, your hair's on fire with all of it. And you just think, I'm an idiot. I know nothing. And that is when Pluto goes, now you're beginning to understand.
And so it begins.
Right. Now we can have some clarity. Now we're getting to the root of it.
Right. So seriously, I mean, you might have thought that 2020 was the opportunity to get clear on a whole bunch of things because we had to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at least in the majority of westernized nations, that threat has significantly passed, and those changes has significantly passed, and now we're dealing with, all right, now what do you do? Now those changes that you made in 2020, can they carry through to 2021? And some people may be going, no.
Right. And then I'm sitting here waiting. In 2022, I'm going to get myself a really nice 2020 RV on the cheap. Because I think there's going to be some change in mindsets over the next year, because this is what 2021 is about. It's a 5-year.
Right.
So this whole year is about change. It's about the changes that you made. It's about the changes that you changed.
And the changes that you changed and changed.
And the changes that will change because of the change that you changed. We could go on for days.
And then there are the changes that are coming to you simply because they are universal.
All right. And change must happen. That's the one thing that is like universally true.
Right.
There is no escaping change. And those of you that think, yes, there is, you're the reason we can't be done with this. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. It's true, but I shouldn't say that.
I'm right, but whatever. So there, so we make decisions with the best information we have.
In the moment.
In response.
Whatever.
Or in reaction.
I don't buy it.
The thing is, though, this period of time, so this Pluto retrograde is occurring through the beginning of October.
So for the next 5 months.
The first week of October. So it's time for us to revisit and look at the changes that we made in the past. Were we being reactionary? And and that's okay if we were, because there was a hell of a lot to react to. Right?
Better that you react or respond than not.
Right. So were we being reactionary? And where were our decisions coming from? Were they coming from a place of fear? Were they coming from a place of where we did not want to go personally in our life, internally in our mental or emotional state? Or was it moving towards what we want?
Right.
And I think that's the key.
Right.
So even if we make a change when we're moving towards what we want, we still may have the kickback.
Hell, I thought this was the Greek Jubilee I've been praying for. I'm not going to lie. 2020, I was like, yes!
Bring
Do-over! They pushed the reset button. And then now I'm in 2021 going, oh, well, that means we have to start everything. Like everything. Like imagine if a reset was really like, okay, we no longer have governments. We no longer have education. We no longer have healthcare. We no longer have, like, think about.
I'm sitting here, I'm like,
we no
there are
longer
many
have
people
money.
that are experiencing
We no
this
longer
right
have, money financial systems.
Right.
Right? I mean, because these are all Capricorn things.
Right, absolutely.
And they are dissolving, transforming, transcending. death and
physical
creation.
bodies.
Our physical bodies, absolutely. Our food that we put in the bodies. The land in which we grow the food which we put in our bodies. Like, are you getting where we're going here? And I'm just dealing with my kid moving out. Like right now, that's got all my attention. And when I pull back from that, right, like I'm being present but observational, I'm just being the witness or the watcher of the mind, as Eckhart Tolle likes to say, but still being with the present moment, then I can absolutely see and understand, yeah, that chaos is yours, girl. Check out what you do down there. You're like a hurricane or a cyclone. And that's what I feel like. Like we were talking about this earlier. We came in through the hurricane, and then we hit the eye of the hurricane, and now we're on our way out of the hurricane.
Right. So it's a continual, it's a process that continues. We aren't done, even as the drama of the COVID and all the changes start receding. Once again, in our area of the world, not necessarily for everyone, but in our area of the world, as they recede, then okay, so now we have to take stock and take a look. And like I said, I really believe that the key I mean, the only person who's going to know whether the changes that were made are going to be continued or are going to be changed again through the kickback for each of us personally is you.
Right.
Only you know.
Right.
And maybe you don't know, and fuck, then what?
Right.
Right? I made this big change, now it's not working, I don't know if I want it now. What do I do?
And therein is like the rub. That's where you really have to go deep into yourself, where I have to go deep into myself and ask myself, and you even asked me the question, right? Like, what's the core thing, the one thing that you want,
Right.
To feel or to experience in this moment?
Right.
And,
Your state of being.
My state of being. And then sometimes it's just peace. And sometimes it's action, and sometimes it's a revelation, but you do have to stop and check in,
Right,
before you spin off the planet.
well, and it's really easy with everything that has been occurring to feel
Escapism is like a real incredible threat to our well-being.
I've been watching Designated Survivor.
I've been watching Flack.
That sounded like this is a real incredible threat, and credible, not incredible.
Right.
A real and credible threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and some people do that. Some people have been escaping.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I will own that.
Yeah.
I did for a while, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Because it just was I just couldn't. No more adulting today.
Right. Well, last year for Nolan, when it happened, right, he left for spring break and never went back.
Yes.
And
did all of our children.
Right. And then he lost all of his services because he has services that he receives because of his disability. He lost all of them. So he lost everything in his personal experience. And then I broke my knee, and I was unable or severely limited in caring for him, let alone caring for myself.
Right.
And I lived a good period of time in my recliner with my foot up.
Yeah.
With both my feet up. And there were physical reasons for that because of pain, lack of movement. I mean, it was a really intense time for me. But I will absolutely own the fact that there was escapism there. 100%. I'm a Pisces. I go there.
Right.
Right? And it's an awareness, right? I'm not judging myself.
Nope.
It's just an awareness.
Yep.
That is where other people may drink.
Right.
Or, anything else for their escapism.
Purge their home of 20 years of stuff. I never saw so much activity at like the thrift stores, the city dumps.
Oh my God, it's still going on at Goodwill,
Yeah.
too. Because I'm still doing it. I'm
Right.
still working on stuff. I moved last year unexpectedly. There was so much that went to the dump. There was so much that went to Goodwill. And I still have more shit to
Right.
take care of.
Great.
I'm
So,
like, what is this?
right? Lighten your load. Look at this. Look at how you have buried yourself in a mountain of, things that make you feel safe.
Right. And it may be physical, and it may be emotional, it may be relationships.
It may be mental.
It may be mental. Hanging on to thoughts or beliefs that are no longer working for you.
Right? People losing their minds over not being able to work.
Right.
And while, yes, I'm not saying that, hey, I have bills to pay. I totally, totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also saw that the entire world, like the one time that we've all got like a legitimate excuse. And people sit up there trying to say, that's no excuse.
Right.
Bitch. I'm so sorry. But then what is? Death?
Right.
Is that what's going to take for you? Because they'll bring that.
Yeah.
Shit, they broke her knee.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
I'm just saying.
Right.
To think that, and that's the thing. It's about the control. And we were talking before. It's like, and I came to understand that there were certain issues that I was experiencing or certain states of being that I was trying to be in that really were just a mask for fear.
Right.
And I was all in denial about that. This is not fear. And they're like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, no, it is not. I know what fear. I will give you the Webster's definition of fear. And they're like, and it's this. And then eventually, when I stopped ranting and raving, because that's my trigger word, I was like, oh, I guess that is fear.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, see, but that is also the gift
Yep.
that Pluto and Capricorn can
Yes.
bring. I mean, Pluto, period, is just eradicating the things that are not real, the things that do not matter, and making you get harshly clear
Right.
on what is important.
And what you didn't know.
Oh,
That you didn't know.
yes.
Like, that is a definite Plutonian thing. You don't
Right.
know what you don't know. Hello, Pluto.
And here, I will show you.
and you
You're
know,
like, that's a thing?
right? And then there's these changes. Like, we needed this change, but we didn't know we needed that change.
Right.
In order for this change to be the change that we desired of the change.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Seriously.
It's like trying to catch a fly in your house. You ever do that? Chase a fly? It's like, it's been buzzing your face all day. We chased a fly in this house for 4 days one time. 4
Wow.
days. And like, I was trying, it was huge. So we knew it was the same fly because it was huge.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, I swack at something. They're like, I tried to kill that fly yesterday. And before you hate on me for killing flies, I'm just saying,
Just saying.
this thing I was going to charge it rent, okay? It was that intrusive in our lives. It was very Pluto-esque. Or I wouldn't have said Saturnian, but now I think it was actually Pluto-esque.
Yeah.
Because of the death knell that was attached to it.
Well, Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is where that full moon was.
Oh, yeah.
And depending on what system you look at, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio.
Right.
Now, the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. I think it's important to look at both of them.
Right.
Traditional meaning we didn't know that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto were out there.
Right.
So, because astrology has been around for centuries.
Maybe that's what it is. Pluto is exacting our revenge on it for
Yes.
making it wait until, what was it, 1961?
I thought it was 40 something.
41?
Yeah.
Maybe it was 41. I don't know.
But yeah, and then we demoted it.
Oh,
Right? We
Pluto,
demoted it to a
I
dwarf
was
planet.
totally
Against
against that.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. So that's it. Revenge.
Yes.
Revenge. So I mean that's what we're visiting. That's what we're visiting, having these changes happen in our life that we both wanted. Mine was intentional. You knew yours was coming.
I was been planning for it for years.
Right. And then we get smacked.
Well, it's a phrase that I've stopped using because it was like a theme a few years back, and then I realized that, you manifest what you think about, you bring about. But it's appropriate to say it here, so I'm going to whisper it into the mic. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yes, that's a very common. That's a very well known.
And sometimes that's.
Sometimes it's literally. I mean, it's around because that's what it feels like.
Right. And hopefully no bad deed goes unpunished as well. But then again, we're living in an upside down, topsy-turvy world right now. So who knows? We may find that bad is good and good is bad. I don't think so. But that could be the illusion that presents itself.
Maya. There is, and the thing that I try to think about is that, okay, so I have this vision and I can envision something for myself. And I can take steps to create that vision into my life. And it may be the absolute perfect right vision for me, but you know what? There's a reason why I'm not there yet.
Yes.
And that's what this kicks up.
Yes.
There's a reason why you are not there at whatever it is that you envision.
You're walking out the door and all of a sudden you get stuck and you look back and you realize that your sweater pocket is hung on the doorknob.
I do that with flowy sleeves often, yes.
Right? Yeah, you can't get out the door yet, sweetheart.
Right.
You're hung up.
There's still something.
What are you hung up on?
Right.
What are you hung up on?
There's still something in there, in you, that needs to be addressed. Because if you were ready for that vision, honey, it would be there.
Yep.
It would be there.
And so little story we have to share. So, this morning, Piperlyne wasn't feeling very well. Is it okay for me to share this? And so, we were chatting, and I offered a few suggestions, and I actually even went and grabbed a tablet for her, a pill for her.
I was having a headache, sinus, migraine thing going on.
And so, she took one, rejected the other, because I brought her choices, as I like to do. And then after a few minutes...
She's a druggity drug.
Yeah. And I come back, and these were all over-the-counter meds, by the way.
Yes.
And so then I come back, and she says, oh, and did you mean to get... And I'm like, no, I gave you this. And she's like, showing me the pill.
Right. I'm like, it was sitting on the table.
And I did not intend to bring her that.
Right. And neither of us know how it came to sit on the table.
No.
Right? No, neither of us. She did not hand it to me. She did not set it down.
We didn't see anything drop.
Right.
It just appeared before us.
Right. Absolutely.
And so we agreed that perhaps that was what the universe was offering to her. So she took it.
Yes.
And that is a plus. That is a benefit. An unexpected one. So while we've been talking about the challenges of change, sometimes the challenge of change is also in not rejecting what's been offered to you.
What comes to you because
what comes to you.
Right.
And the opportunities that just appear out of nowhere. And sometimes we can get stuck in, okay,
quote unquote.
I've manifested, I've created this change, I've requested this change, I've visualized this change, and then something shows up and you're like, oh no, I can't take that, because that's not how it's supposed to show up.
Yes, absolutely.
And because you're so resistant to whatever, whenever, however, something actually shows, it's that story we've talked about before, about where God brought the boat and the helicopter and everything else, and you're sitting
to the drowning person.
To the drowning person, right. And, or the pill to the suffering, lady. Because we think it can only show up this way.
Right.
And what that shows us is our limiting beliefs.
Right.
And Pluto wants to destroy and transform that limiting, that framework.
Which is a beautiful thing. Get out of the fucking box.
Right.
So it's a good thing, but damn.
Damn. That got a double damn.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, when you're looking at that change, look for the kickback.
Right.
But also, don't look the gift horse in the mouth.
Right. Absolutely.
Again, I always attributed that to more Saturnian. But again...
Well, we are talking Capricorn,
which
is ruled by Saturn.
Correct. Okay.
So that energy can still play.
Yes.
In the experience of it.
Yes. Yes.
So look at the opportunities. Look at the changes you weren't expecting. Look at this is an old moon. I think it's from the 90s even. So yeah, last century. So that's cool. But it's one of my favorite movies about manifesting, and I know I've talked about it before, or at least mentioned it once, but I'm going to do it again because it's fitting. It's Under the Tuscan Sun. Oh, yeah. Right? So she goes through this divorce and this terrible thing, and she finds herself in a complete loss as to what she's going to do with her life. Mm-hmm. And so, on a whim, she decides to buy this villa. And so she purchases it, and at the beginning, or there's a point somewhere at the beginning of the movie where she talks about what she wants, right? She wants a family, she wants a home filled with laughter, she wants children, and she's an older single woman, and so she has none of those things when she gets this house. Mm-hmm. And at the end, what is pointed out by someone who had befriended her when she first moved was that she got everything that she wanted. She got everything that she wanted, and I have goosebumps. I do too. It. But it did not look like she thought it would, or like she thought she should. And she just went through, and she lived her life every day, and dealt with the challenges as they came up, and did her best to make the decisions. And she went through that kickback of, oh my God, what the hell have I done? Right. I just bought a villa that that has holes and animals living in it, and
this might have been a mistake.
And I'm doing
those
this
$1 villas in Italy, right?
Yes. Oh, girl, I've looked at those.
I have too.
But yeah, so she got that kickback, and she continued to go through with it, and in the end, she got exactly what she got. She got exactly what she had intended, but it looked differently. Doesn't mean that it wasn't satisfying, and she was very happy with how her life had turned. But she got kickback after kickback after making that change. Yep. So it's a real experience.
Yeah. So the best that I can offer for myself, and you're welcome to hear what I say to self, the best that you can do is just roll with it. Right. Because that is really not only the best, it's the only thing that you can do in this moment. And that is not to bypass it. It is just to roll with it.
Well, in going...
I can roll or I can tumble, but I'm going down the hill.
And if your intention or your change came with the idea of growing or expanding in your awareness, in your personal evolution, you know what, baby? You can't go back.
Here's your sign.
You cannot go back. If you decided you were going to use this for your own personal growth, then you to go back is even more painful.
It risks severe tire damage. Yes. Is what it does.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. That's so funny. I just drove past one of those things, I don't know, a couple of days ago. But yes, do not drive backwards. You risk severe tire damage. Absolutely.
So, I guess here we go again.
Keep on keeping on,
keep
baby.
on keeping. You support us, we'll support you. We support each other, and and we live to tell another day. Because again, like it or not, we agreed
Girl, I thought this was going to be fun.
Well, we did say we came, we saw, we conquered. So we thought it was going to be easy, if nothing else. But when you're trying to do something different than what you've done before, it is, I think it's physics that there's going to be challenges.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it is, but to me that would seem like of the caliber of
Right.
like physics or chemistry or some high, maybe calculus. I don't know.
Something.
Some high-minded shit there.
Some science math thing.
Right. It's a STEM experience. Welcome to the STEM class of life. And we are your hosts.
And how very Capricorn of you. STEM. Yeah. So there's that.
So if nothing else, we hope we turned your tears to laughter and your pain to joy, if only for an hour. And so my dear, sweet, loving peoples, humans, my little humans, as my friend Eric always says, I wish you a beautiful week and much love. Until next time,
Yes.
I'm Sonya Lee
And I'm Piperlyne. Take care of you. And we'll talk to you soon.
on In My Experience.